Probably. Anyway, hello everyone. For today, we are doing a sprint, and this sprint we're going to cut back on the chit chat, and we are probably going to be doing more reading than usual. So, on that note, what is everyone reading today?
Apothecary Diaries, Volume 8.
Woo!
Yeah.
I'm
I
on
think that's
7.
all 3 of you, right?
You're still on 7? I'm winning! Or at least I'm not losing.
I haven't had any time lately to read, so it's bumming me out.
How far are you in 7 now?
I gotta check.
Sean, do you want to say how far you are in Volume 8?
I have a mere 70 pages left, I believe. I think I'm on like 200, pretty much exactly 200. Page 200.
Okay. I'm not winning.
Technically,
Scared me though. I was like, I'm cruising. I'm gonna be done before everyone, and then I kind of eased off. And then because you were on like volume 5 last I heard, and then it was like, oh, she's on volume 8 now. I'm like, give me a heads up. Huh.
I think it was just this past weekend. I was still on volume 5, and I locked in because
you did lock in.
You gotta lock in. That's the key.
You know, realizing I think it really helped. So I recently it's like a self-diagnosis, but like whatever. I have really, really bad OCD when it comes to reading, where I get really anxious that I don't understand something when I read it. So I keep rereading sentences or paragraphs over and over and over again. Because my brain's just like, it's convinced that you didn't understand it. If you didn't like memorize every single word individually, you didn't understand the sentence, and wouldn't let me like proceed. But like realizing that that's what was happening has helped me like stop doing that. It's because before it's like I unconsciously would do that all the time. But now that I'm aware of it, I'm able to like, at least I try to push myself like, if I read a sentence and I think I didn't get it, I'm like, no, just convince yourself you got it. Just keep going. So yeah, because of that, I've been able to read the last couple of volumes a lot faster. So yay!
That is so odd because I feel like when I'm like, oh, I don't think I understood that, and I reread it, it's because I didn't understand that. It's a weird thing to understand it, then be like, I didn't understand it. And
it gets worse the more I reread it, because you know how like you say certain words over and over again, and it loses meaning.
Yeah.
The more you say it, so then it's kind of like an endless loop where I'm like, I didn't get it. I reread it, and I'm like, it makes even less sense now.
At least with buddy reading, you can always be like, wait, hold on, did I understand this right? You can always just take a picture of the passage and send it to someone.
Like I did for this one, because there was that one passage. I'm like, are they like eating the thing that they're talking about that's poison? Yeah. And then so that's a different instance where I'm like, okay, I actually need to reread it. I think of that as like separate to when I'm like I have the compulsion to like reread things over and over.
What do you think caused this feeling?
Just I think it's gotten what?
Sean said, let's find your trauma.
Well, I wouldn't say it's since like starting BookTube or like because I have these discussions or anything. It's more like because I've read like so many books in the past 10 years, and then I go back to look at some of those books and I'm like, I don't remember anything from these books. I might as well not even have read them at all. So, and I hate that feeling of like not remembering what I've read. So now like when I'm reading stuff, I'm just like, I got to remember it. So I think that's like, and the more I think about that, the worse it gets.
And there are a lot of conversations about people not being real readers if they're not retaining the information and things like that. Where
I don't. True, I'm not a real reader. I don't know anything I've read ever.
I think our weird gatekeeping rules. We just kind of continuously move the goalposts of what it is to be a real reader. And I understand to some degree that we want to encourage people to actively at least somewhat engage with what they're reading. But at the same time, I think people can go a little too far with it. And sometimes I wonder if it's other people's their own insecurity about their reading speed or about the amount they read. Or I know a lot of people talk about views and things like that with BookTube in particular, where the amount of views versus the amount of effort is not the same as it is for a lot of, if we're talking about BookTube specifically, it's not the same as other types of channels that can more easily bring in views with maybe less work on the back end because you're not reading at least 6+ hours just to talk about one book. And so I think sometimes people feel like they're actively engaging with something and then they go to talk about it and they don't see people responding, and then they kind of get in their own head where they have to self-soothe and validate themselves. So then it kind of turns into like, well, I actually read and all you other people aren't really reading that well. And it can kind of feel like it's a little bit of gatekeeping that happens. But it can get in your head because you see all these things and you're like, well, I don't always remember everything I read perfectly, you know, and it is what it is. I think there's some, if we're talking about good faith conversations, I think there's some about the decline of people's literacy rates and critical reading and things like that. But then simultaneously, there are people that I think are just trying to make themselves feel better. And it's hard to always know where people are falling. Really quick, I just want to catch up with the chat. 200 pages into the Will of the Many. How are you liking it? What are your thoughts so far? I am very curious why you've decided to start with the manga instead of the light novels. Is it just because you want to have that as almost like a reference point? I've got reading to do for school, far less fun than Apothecary Diaries. Well, you're welcome to read anything, of course, during the sprint. And Christy, so relatable with the rereading. Yeah, I'm with you there too.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I know we talked a little bit about this before, but I find this is why it's helpful for me to do immersion reading, to prevent which is a little different from what you described, but to prevent I have no idea what I just read feeling where you realize you're all the way on the next page and you didn't process any of it. In fact, you might have actively been thinking about something else while somehow still reading the words. So I sometimes have to reread, but when I have...
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, if I have the audiobook, it helps me keep from doing it. But go ahead. Sorry, Sean.
Oh, I have an interesting experiment for Christy. And I'm not going to say the book because I don't want to sound super pretentious. But there's a book I've read where nobody knows what's going on. Ever.
I know what you're talking about.
And I'm just like, maybe that could cure you. Like
it's
you could read that.
Like Infinite Jest or Gravity's Rainbow.
It's Gravity's Rainbow. Yeah. I was gonna say, if you can just, I had to accept during that book, I don't know what's going on. I will never know what's going on unless someone holds my hand and explains it to me. And even they probably don't know what's going on. And then you just enjoy the ride, I
think I would just get stuck on a single sentence. Like, I don't know. Because with Apothecary Diaries, it's not a difficult read. I feel the writing style is very readable. And then when I'm not in my head about it, I can go through it pretty quickly. But then let's say I read 2 pages and then I'm like, wait, let me just go back and make sure that I retained what I read, and then I'll reread those 2 pages and I'm like, yeah, like that's exactly what I got the first time. I didn't have to go back. But I gotta like...
You know what doesn't help with Apothecary Diaries is that sometimes Mao is onto something and you're, as the reader, you're like, am I supposed to be in on this too? Am I supposed to also know what's going on? Because she seemed to pick something up. Did I miss something? And I think sometimes that gets in my head a little bit too. And I think with the translation aspects of it, where it seems like in its original language, there's contextual things that make readers of the language aware a little bit more of what's going on. Whereas when you translate it, you lose some of that because the words will still be technically translated right. But I feel like we lose context because sometimes stuff will happen. You'll be like, what just happened? Or the way that things are described with movement and stuff, sometimes you're like, I don't know who's where right now exactly. So I think sometimes that doesn't help. But I do think what you're describing is probably far more common maybe than you think it is. I think a lot of people just maybe don't want to admit it or don't talk about it that often. But I think it's probably fairly common. You're probably not alone. Let's see. Our signed copy is going to be available when the hard copy comes out. Possibly. We'll see. If I knew what you meant. Hello. Some books I remember well, some I don't. Same with movies. Some I remember a lot, and some I barely remember that I've watched it, let alone what it's about. And then let's see. I started with the manga because my library has it. Oh, okay. And I'd have to buy all the light novels. So far, just bought the one. I just finished reading a novel I loved in January, debating continuing the series again or picking up something else. Oh, what was the book? Oh yeah, what was the book? Also, hello. And I rarely remember the books I read because I just binge them, and sometimes I read a lot of similar things for comfort. LOL. Yeah, that's another thing. And I also think that there is a difference between when people the Finder. Okay. I think sometimes there's a difference too in certain stories maybe are meant to be a little bit more for entertainment. And in those scenarios, you kind of just go with it. And then other ones, I think, you're meant to maybe get more out of it because maybe there's more in it. Not to say that you should assume when you're going in, but you can tell the difference sometimes. So I feel like sometimes the ones that are just like fun, the feeling that you had when you finished it might stay with you of like, oh, that was fun, that was cute, whatever. Whereas other times, specific scenes are going to be what elicits a reaction. So then you'll remember those scenes more. I bet there's a lot that goes into it. It'd be really interesting to talk to somebody who knows a little bit more about the brain than any of us do. So they can explain to us why all this happens.
Any neuroscientists in the chat?
Yeah. I sometimes get stuck on certain passages. It's usually when I'm not in the reading mood and I'm forcing myself. This happens when this is, I'm sure, an obvious statement, but when I'm sleepy. Having aphantasia means I have to just roll with it most of the time since I can't picture anything going on. That really sucks. Yeah, I really can't imagine having aphantasia. It's so interesting. This topic comes up a number of times during sprints, but it's so interesting to me how differently our brains work and that this comes up in relation to reading. And Sarah, was it you? No, this was about when you talk in your head while you read that you said you're like, do I do that? And then it was a mystery. But aphantasia means you just don't picture anything. And I don't understand how that is so different from person to person. Why? Part of me is like, why would some of us have developed that ability and others not? You know what I mean? Like, why is that a difference? I don't know. Does everybody hear a picture a little bit when they read?
I have a hard time
I picture. Yeah. But I wonder if, like, so for example, Apothecary Diaries, you watch the anime first, you know what the scene is. And then let's say you go back or you go to the light novel and read it. With people with aphantasia, are you then able to picture that scene from the anime, or is it still just completely blank?
Well, so I have that with people where I have a hard time picturing characters, but when there's something like this or like something with a ton of fan art, it then makes it easier for me to picture the characters. So
I've seen people that get upset when fan art doesn't match what they pictured. And then descriptions bother them because the descriptions keep going. Like somehow they'll create an image in their head. These are two separate thoughts. So some people get upset about fan art because it doesn't look like what they thought. And then other times people will picture a character a certain way. And then later on, if they get a description that goes against what they'd already decided in their head, then they get annoyed. And I heard somebody say this about Shalon, where like for some reason they didn't imagine Shalon with a certain feature. I don't even know what it was. And then when it kept getting brought up, they're like, that's not how I picture her though.
that's funny.
Oh, I totally do that. I mean, like, so I don't really, I'm kind of the same with Sarah. Like, it's hard for me to picture faces unless I have like an actor or something in mind where I'm just like, oh, they're that person. And then if I read something that's counter, like that doesn't look like the actor, I'm like, I'm ignoring that because it's too late. They're that actor in my head. So
That's funny
Yeah.
because mine like updates, like especially for like settings. I will just picture like if it's like a tavern or something, I'll picture like a generic tavern, and then as soon as I get more information, like describing it, it'll update like that certain aspect of it.
I refuse. I get like picture in my head. I'm like, nope, that's what it is. Doesn't matter. I don't care about your further descriptions.
I picture characters as anime characters. Like they look like anime characters in my head.
Which is funny because when we did our husbando tier ranking, it was Sarah that said they look too real for me. So, do you visualize fictional characters as anime, or?
I should try that.
Yeah. I watch adaptations first a lot of the time, and then can read the material easier. I remember books as if I had watched a movie. Sometimes I can't remember if a book or movie because the level of, oh, that's interesting. My friend's daughter has aphantasia, and she'd never be able to draw her mother's picture or anyone because she can't picture anyone in her head. I mean, that's another thing too, is I feel like at first I can picture things really clearly, and then if you ask me to give you specifics, then suddenly it almost becomes blurrier. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can like, so the, what's it called? The sketch artist who like, like, oh, can you describe like this criminal so we can like, we can draw them out and put it out. I'm like, I would not be able to describe anything. Like I know very clearly what you guys look like. I can recognize your faces, but if anyone asked me to describe your features, I'd be like, I have no idea.
Oh yeah, I'd be the worst for a sketch artist. I'd be like,
they had a face
about my height.
Yeah. I think it's a matter of what you look at when you look at another person too. You know what I mean? Like, do you kind of see them full picture, or do you see details? I could be wrong, but I thought something said that women have a tendency to see details and features more, whereas men see like big picture. Is there a siren? For a second, I thought Sean was whistling. I was like,
oh, there's a siren going off here. I didn't know this microphone would pick it up. Okay.
I just thought there was like a whoo. I thought Sean, I was like, why are you whistling right now?
I also thought you were
okay, I'm not alone. We all blame Sean. Sorry, Sean.
I'm
You are
offended.
good at whistling, though.
I'm okay.
You're pretty good. You can whistle too.
Thanks.
This is really funny to me that you just hear everybody with your voice. I kind of like that. I can't really picture characters either, but fan art or fan casts help too. So that's kind of more what Sean was saying. I fully just ignore the descriptions of characters if I already decide what they look like. It doesn't affect my brain, so I roll with it. Depending on the genre, I sometimes see characters as live action or animated, or sometimes both. Am I the only one who sees Trump as an anime character? Like actively? Like if he's on the news? or just like as a specific anime character? I think you might be alone. I don't know. He's got some pretty interesting because anime features, you know how anime or video game characters, like their hair and their outfits are always so wild that when somebody does cosplay, it just like it looks a little different. I feel like he's like the reverse of that, where he probably could translate well to anime form.
Just give him tiny hands, It's like
I can already picture it in my head what that would look like.
Yeah. I think that the fact there's so many political cartoons out there kind of helps. But anyway, I did say we would be cutting back on the chit chat because we're going to be reading we're going to do 2 50-minute sprints with the 10-minute break in between. And then we're going to try to fit in a 30-minute sprint or 50, depending on how we're feeling. So 3 Apothecary Diaries reading. And I think...
what are you reading?
Yeah, so for one of the sprints, I'm probably going to keep going with The Summer War by Naomi Novik. But for the first sprint, I think I will listen to the third Memory Sorrow Thorn book while I walk because I need to get more steps in, and also because I need to get through that book.
When's the discussion?
It's not this weekend, but next weekend.
Okay. You got time.
But it's a 63-hour-long audiobook. So I know. I mean, luckily I listen to audiobooks enough that I don't have to listen to it at one time speed.
Wait, is this the third one that's like 2 books combined?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. I feel bad because I'm like, I'm the person in the chat that likes it the least. And I haven't dropped out. And other people are like, I'm busy or I'm in a reading slump. And I'm just like, I feel bad for the people that like the book that are probably like, can that girl drop out? I don't want to hear her anymore. How many pages? It was so the copies I had, and I ended up selling them actually to another person in the chat because they were a big fan of the series, and it's a reread for them. But I think the two books, because the third book is split into two, I think they were both over at least over 600, if not over like 800 pages or something. I think.
I was
But
thinking
that
like
was
100 as well.
the broken binding editions. Different editions, the page count's not that big because those are pretty big editions with pretty large text. So it's very long.
I feel like if your book is that long, you have to really be saying something. And I don't know anything about that book.
I got to a part where Simon,
You're really saying something?
Simon was like, I'm a man grown now, so why don't I feel like it? I still feel like a stupid scullion. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do this.
Oh my gosh,
I also feel like you're still a stupid scullion.
speaking of Simon, there was a part in Apothecary Diaries where it's like, Mama didn't want to think about this. She would rather sleep. And I'm like, that's Simon.
Yeah, Simon's response is he just wants to lay down and go to bed when he's stressed. But he's complaining. Sorry, I just have to say this, and then we'll start our sprint. He's complaining. Well, not complaining, but I do want to give him credit. He's not complaining, but he is thinking like, oh, what he would do to just have peace now, to just have a stable home and not have to, go to all these places and whatever. And then at one point, I don't want to, I guess, give away too much for spoiler reasons, but some important people are strategizing, and he's like, I know, I'll go on this quest, basically. I won't give specifics, but he's like, I know, I'll go on this quest and I'll do this thing and it'll be very helpful. And they're like, thanks for offering, but you should just stay here. And he's like, but this is a good idea. And they're like, Simon, we're not going to do that. And then he gets all upset and he's frustrated that they won't let him go on this quest. And even other characters are like, you have to calm down. You must see that they're trying to do what they think is best. And he's getting all frustrated about like, why won't they let me be brave, basically? And I'm just like, you were just thinking how nice it would be to stay put, and now you're complaining that they won't let you stay put. It's just like, dude, I can't handle this character. He's so whiny and annoying, and he makes me whiny and annoying. I can't stop complaining about him. So anyway, look at Sean's face. He's heard it so many times. Actually, I haven't ranted about him yet since starting the third book, so I don't know how I would do that. Do one of those voice changers and have it be faceless. I could do that, but I don't want to because I would feel bad. Anyway, okay, time to start our sprint. Our first one will be 50 minutes with that 10-minute break. And as always, feel free to turn the volume down if the music is not helpful and it's distracting, but we'll see everybody in 50 minutes. Hello.
Oh,
How is everyone's reading?
I loved Sarah's reading position.
I told you I'd be like that.
Was it like the picture you sent before?
Yeah. It looked like I was just laying there.
I when I read through the Libby app and Hoopla, or I guess more specifically Hoopla, a little bit I'm like, is there something I can use as a page turner on my iPad and not a Kindle?
I have this one that is like a TikTok scroller. So on Everend, I think you can use it on the Kindle app as well. You can change the scroll direction from sideways to up and down, so it like scrolls like you're on TikTok, but you're actually reading. It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
I feel like I'd still want the tap one, so it'd go through.
Yeah.
But that is extra fancy. I know I've talked to Jade before about how she has like the thing that holds it, so she's just laying in bed and pressing the thing. Is that basically? Yeah. Okay.
I've seen her picture of that setup, and then she takes a picture of her Kindle, and the font is huge.
The font on mine is pretty big too.
I had the font on my iPad really big through Hoopla, and Sean kept making fun of me for it.
it's too big. It's really, really big.
I
How's
love.
everybody's reading though?
I got 12%, which is, let me calculate. I think around like 36 pages. So I'm improving.
Yeah.
I
What about
don't know how
you,
people
Sean?
do. I don't know how you guys can do like a page a minute though. I'm still backtracking like a little bit, but not as much as before.
Depends on the book too, and the size of the font, of course. Sean, how is yours?
I have 3 pages left of the penultimate chapter.
Nice. And that's excluding the epilogue?
That's correct.
Mm.
You're so close. I'm excited for you. Wow, what a way to spend your time. That sounds like a fun. So it's a whole channel, or was it just like some comments? I'm very curious about this. I never understand this because I feel like there are still high and epic fantasy books being written. They're just maybe not the really popular books, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. And that's also, just to be clear, I'm assuming, I shouldn't, but I'm assuming that's what they equate to sci-fi fantasy is high epic fantasy. And I'm assuming they think that fantasy romance is killing fantasy and high fantasy, like epic and high fantasy. I don't know. You can elaborate. These are just the sort of things I've seen. So
These are probably the same kind of people who have no idea that Robin Hobb is a woman, and they'd be like, oh, like, you know, these are the great fantasy authors and Robin Hobb, and it's like, you know, she's a woman, right?
This is sort of related, but just on the idea of like, because whenever things like that happen, if you point out like, hey, do you know that? They'll be like, well, actually though, but still it's different. You know, like they can't just be like, no, I guess I didn't. I remember one time mentioning that I thought that the narrator for Warbreaker, I liked that narrator. And then I also mentioned Michael Kramer. And somebody got really mad because they're like, it's really messed up because they're a husband-wife duo and you shouted out the husband, but you didn't even mention her by name. And I was like, well, the narrator for Warbreaker is not the narrator who is married to Michael Kramer. So it's a different woman. And they're like, well, still though, you should have mentioned her. And I was like, what? So it is fun when people, you know, they just go with whatever. they stick to their anger, even if the thing they were angry about no longer is pertinent. But anyway,
I imagine you mentioned him because he's the sole narrator of Mistborn and a lot of Sanderson's other books, right? So like,
yeah, they don't always narrate everything, but I mean it's fine. Finished volume 2 of the manga. Yay. I DNF'd a sci-fi novel from the library. I think it might be good, but apparently not today. Reader problems, lol. Cold the Night, Fast the Wolves. That's a cool name though. I'm close to finishing A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, so I'm sticking with that before switching to Apothecary Diaries. Oh, nice. Magical Innkeeping is very cute. It's very cute and silly and fun. And then finished a chapter of your reading. Good job. 44 pages of The Will of the Many. Yay. Can I post a link? The channel tagline is making fantasy great again. I think that explains it. No, let's not link it. You know, that's okay. To each their own.
Mafugra.
okay, so Sarah, do we want to make good on our promise from last night?
Explaining. Wait, let me tell you how much time you have. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, all right. So, by the way, okay, we're going to explain to Elle what the Omega verse is, because apparently she doesn't know. Okay, so origins of where this idea came from are unclear. There's like a bunch of different sources that are claiming they are the originator of this idea. And there's like a bunch of different, like, you know, it's kind of like vampire lore where things change over time, right? But there are some things that are always the same when it comes to Omegaverse. Okay, so in Omegaverse, there's usually like men and women, you know, they, for the purpose of this, we'll just say that there's 2 genders, male and female, but then everyone also has a secondary gender, and that is alpha, beta, or omega. And the majority of the population are betas, which is just like normal people. Nothing happens to them. They're completely ordinary. And then there's alphas who are like, you know, the elite of society. They're usually, you know, as the name suggests, right? They're alphas. And then there's the omegas who are like the bottom rung of society. They get treated like really poorly and everyone looks down on them. And then so omegas can go every month or so, they go into something called heat, which, okay, and you know, using animal terms, you can figure out what it is. And they like emit these kind of pheromones. And if they don't keep their pheromones in check, they don't suppress their pheromones, all the alphas around them will, like, you know, sense it and start going crazy and, like, you know, just go wild. Where am I going with this? Okay, anyway, so when it comes to Omegaverse, a big subset of it is like a male-male romance. So you have the male who is an Omega and the Alpha who is also male, and the male Omegas can get pregnant. So that is where the term mpreg comes from, which is male pregnancy. So anyway, that is the Omegaverse in around 3 minutes.
It's actually about 2. Good job.
Okay.
That's very good.
Anyway, did I miss anything, Sarah?
I have never actually read anything Omegaverse related, but I've just like seen it on the outside. So
I exposed myself for no reason.
I definitely knew what it was, though.
You're not alone. Apparently other people know. Apparently people expected me to know. You know who no one expected to know about this? Sean.
How did Sean, I want to know, like, how did you hear about this?
Sean doesn't know.
Just now. That
okay. I thought you did know about it.
No.
Yeah, it was fun watching his face while you explained.
Yeah, it's
also sorry for
popular.
Huh?
Surprisingly popular.
That's not surprising to me. Sorry for looking gross. I got sweaty, but it's time for our next sprint. That's what the music is cueing.
Time for tea. Like actual tea, not spit. Like, we're gonna go make tea.
No. Sarah, you're like a baby from hibernation. I finally got to actually see the setup a little bit more.
Well, my setup got ruined because I finished volume 7 and went to move on to volume 8, and for whatever reason, it's not working on Everend. So I had to get the get it on Hoopla, and my little scroller thing doesn't work very well on Hoopla, so
That's what I was worried about.
Oh,
How dare they?
I know. But all my highlights from book or volume 8 are on Everand, so I'm like, I was looking forward to like seeing those highlights as I kept reading. So I got to figure out why that's not working.
I don't know what is Blood of Old Kings. Let me see if I recognize. Oh, I don't
it's
recognize.
about some kings that are dead, but they kept their blood.
Nice.
That's what it's about.
Is that
Thank
one
you, Sean.
translated?
Also, don't judge for Kindle font size. Christy.
I'm not judging. I was just doing
judging.
facts.
I wonder
I
whose
just think
is
it's
bigger,
big.
mine or Jade's. We'll have to compare. Yeah, it's getting late. Well, it's late for both of you, right? Aren't you both?
Not quite 10, so
Okay.
Purple Dragonfly is 1 hour ahead of us.
Okay. Sarah, why do I think you're East Coast?
I am.
Oh. Oh, okay. I'm stupid. I mixed up East Coasters and this, and I was like, wait. I just blended them and assumed it was also 11 for you. I'm dumb. Well, Sean, I'm assuming you finished volume 8.
I did finish volume 8.
It's a distinct ending, right?
It is. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm a little lukewarm on it. I might have to think about it, mull it over for the discussion. But my immediate gut reaction is,
Okay.
that was it.
Do you need to read the very beginning of volume 9?
No, I do
Okay.
not need to do that.
Okay. I don't know.
I don't know if that would make it less for me.
I think it might. But I also don't know.
You know what? It might not.
Yeah,
we don't know. We
Thank
don't
you.
know.
Yeah.
Only the future Sean knows.
I'm just saying volumes 9 through 12 are the best. So
There's more than 12 that's been translated now, right?
yeah, I've read through 14. 15, I think, just came out. It's just not on Hoopla yet.
Hoopla!
And I tried to read it on Everand, and it just would not download. And I emailed them about it, and they were like, try updating or something. And I did. And I'm like, yeah, it's still not working. And then they basically said, sorry. And then I was like, can I get my credit back? And then I don't think I did. So that was kind of annoying.
I used to use Everand, but yeah, I heard like they changed their like the system, or like before you pay a subscription and you could access anything in the library that's available to your country, but now they're doing like a credit system.
You pay pretty low to get 3 unlocks a month, and those unlocks can be audiobooks or ebooks.
Only 3?
Yeah. But that's better than like all their competitors, though, I will say.
I like their old model better. It was like virtually unlimited.
I'm still like grandfathered into the old system, so
nice.
I don't have any credits. So
I don't mind it. I mean, compared to, I like Libro FM because you can partner them with local bookstores. So I like that aspect. But as far as competitive pricing, I think it is the best given the prices of all of the other audiobook services. So
nothing beats the library.
What?
Nothing beats the library, though.
If the library has stuff, the library often doesn't have. Or like Hoopla is really good because you don't have to wait, but Hoopla often doesn't have newer works. They're good for backlists, though. Really, really good. And then Libby, you have to wait sometimes so long if they even have it. Because sometimes, at least in my region, Libby, if it's not as popular, they won't have the works on Libby. So Hoopla is good for backlist. Libby is good for new and popular. And then there's those ones that are like kind of in between that I feel like neither is good for.
Libby's good for magazines.
Libby's good for magazines, you said?
Yeah, so everyone knows. Shout out to Libby magazines.
That's true. You'll be like, I want to read this article. There's a paywall. I'll go to Libby.
Wait, you can do that? Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hate
I told you about my library's Libby selection.
It's bad, right?
It's really bad. And it's not even just my library. All the libraries in Vermont are in like a group together. And
so they're
bad.
all bad then.
Yes. So I pay, I think it used to be $27 a year to have a library card in Fairfax County, Virginia. And they have like 20 times the amount of things on Libby that my library does.
But you have to pay?
Yeah, because it's like a non-resident card.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
You
There
didn't
are
sneakily get one.
No, there are some libraries that I think let you get free library cards even if you're not a resident, so you can use it that way, but I just didn't figure out how to do that. So
I feel like
Yeah.
I don't have those problems because my library card. So I have 3 library cards in my area because I work in a different city than where I live, so I can have 2 library cards. But then where I live, you can also access another library. So I have 3 libraries, and then me and my friend in California, we share library cards. Like we share, like I add her card to my account, and she adds my card to her account. And she lives in California, so she has like access to like 3 or 4 libraries there. So if I want something, chances are it's gotta be available at one of the like 7 options.
Thanks for rubbing it in.
I mean,
Yeah, I
I
was like,
feel
I don't have
for a while, I had when we lived in Gilbert, I think I had a Gilbert library card, a Scottsdale library card, and a Phoenix library card. It's pretty
Yeah.
easy to do in this area.
But
They're all close.
I know here though, Glendale, I think it's not as easy.
Glendale.
And I think I don't know if they're as open to people from different areas getting cards anymore.
Because Gilbert didn't have Hoopla, the Gilbert library. That's why I went to Scottsdale so I could get Hoopla.
Yeah, they had Overdrive. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then San Diego has weird, like they have 2. They have the county and the city or something like that, right? So there's 2 different systems. Anyway, Sarah, you are not technically there.
no, I'm in Vermont.
Our digital library is provincial, meaning over 1 million people are waiting for the same few copies. The Way of Kings was a year and 2 months. We have a lot in Phoenix too, though. I don't know exactly how long, but sometimes if it's really, in fact, okay, what's a really popular book? I'll look it up.
Fourth Wing.
Twilight, Harry Potter, Hunger
Let's-
Games.
Yeah, that's actually a good one too. Fourth
Nice.
Wing. Let's look up. It'll probably just say like a really long time. Place.
Several months.
Actually, Fourth Wing's not that bad, surprisingly. Oh wait, that's the audiobook. Let's see the. Okay, Fourth Wing's not that bad. I wonder if they have a bunch of copies, because they'll do that. They'll buy like more digital copies.
Oh my god, Fairfax County Public Library has 39 copies of Fourth Wing.
That's insane. I'm trying to think of something that's really popular right now. What's really
So my friend's library, the Fourth Wing audiobook, they have 40 copies available.
yeah.
Wow.
What about Alchemized?
Oh yeah, if that's available, that's a good one to alchemize.
I love how we're just like learning about each other's libraries.
Yeah, this is what happens.
This is the nice thing about not reading new books is most stuff I read, I'm like, oh, they got a copy.
Wait,
Okay, Alchemized.
Rubbing
There's
it in.
several weeks wait in all of our libraries, but her library has a skip the line version. So
That is fun when that happens here for Alchemized. It just says several months wait, and it's like 3 copies in use, 243 people waiting in total, 11 people waiting per copy. I said that the wait wasn't that bad. Thank you very much.
I heard it too. Let's run with this story. Printing in all the papers.
You just gotta, like take a clip and then take out the part where she says the wait, and it's like,
Yeah.
4th week is not bad.
I guess I'm just a flip-flopper. So yesterday, this is totally switching gears. I just want to talk about it. Yesterday, I made dinner, and it was kind of this recipe I'd seen different people make variations of, and I was winging it, and I kind of combined different aspects together, and it turned out really yummy.
It was so winging it, I couldn't be in the same room.
You chose to go read. Don't act like I was.
It was really tasty though. But I'm a stickler for recipes.
Yes.
I can't do the whole like, oh, I don't have this. Let's just throw this in there. I'm like, no.
Thank you for elaborating. You made it sound like I kicked you out. That is
no. It was a Sean choice. I knew I couldn't handle it. But
this is
great.
What was the dish?
I will say in a moment, but I really want to elaborate really quick on this difference between us. So as Sean has mentioned, I'm okay going off recipe. Sometimes I may be a little too casual with going off recipe. However, the downside for Sean's method is he can literally be looking at something that is clearly not right. And let's say, for example, it's clearly not like cooked through enough, like it's not crispy, but the directions said, like 15 minutes. And he'll be like, well, it said 15 minutes. And I'm like, back in, and he'll be like, but it said 15 minutes, and I'm like, it's clearly not done though. And he's like, this makes me anxious. So we both have pros and cons to our ways. It was a butter bean soup, basically. It was butter beans, basil, sun-dried tomatoes, a little bit of flour to thicken it, a lot of peppers, garlic, onion. I sent a bunch of it. Nutritional yeast. Sean, what am I forgetting? Oh, a little bit of soy milk, unsweetened. A pinch of some other mix of greens. It was a bunch of stuff.
And that was just out of the blue. You're like, oh, let's just do this. And I was like,
I feel like with a soup though, that's kind of like
was it all blended in the end?
Yeah,
it was.
And then we toasted some bread and then ate it with the bread.
Yeah,
but I kind of want to try it with pasta.
Soup is just like, you just toss all roast a bunch of veggies and toss them all together. It doesn't matter what you have.
Yeah, it was quite yummy, but
it came out almost like, soup isn't the right word for it. It had like a thickness to it. It almost was like
a chowder.
And vegetable broth.
Like it was almost like, it wasn't as thick as hummus, but it was like
a chowder.
Like a creamier.
I'd say thicker than a chowder. It was very scoopable.
Yeah.
It had girth.
But it was really yummy. And I was a little nervous. I thought, I wonder if the leftovers won't taste as good. And the leftovers were delicious. So now it actually reminds me, my grandma used to make the soup that had a good thickness like that too. But she'd put those tiny, tiny little noodles in too.
Ooh,
yes.
And it was always so good. And it was the best thing when it would get cold.
Or something. The little noodles, pastini or something.
I don't know what those tiny little ones are called, but she would make it basically every time it was winter, and I think she got so much joy out of making it for us. And then I would have leftovers all the time because she would make like a huge pot of it. But she used a different kind of beans for the recipe, among other things. Like this recipe we made, I think technically is vegan, but the one she made was not. So it had additional flavors that were very yummy, but that I don't eat these days. But yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed I enjoyed it, and I'm excited to make it again. So,
Sounds good.
yeah.
There is a good question down there.
Can I replicate it? Yeah, I can definitely replicate it. No problem.
Whenever my mom makes something, she'll always go off recipe, and my dad will always be like, "Did you write that down?" Every single time.
Well, some of it, like the amount of garlic is sort of like I'm just going for an amount. So it depends on the size of the garlic too. You know, sometimes the things are really big and sometimes they're smaller. So you
Did
kind of
you use like one garlic little chunk?
Oh no.
Two?
No. A
Two,
few.
three?
It was like at least 4.
4? Wow.
At least. Yeah.
Whenever
Wow.
a recipe tells you any amount of garlic, always double it.
Yeah.
At least.
I don't like that. I don't like that. You have to do
Pressing
exactly
out
what
on.
it says.
It was delicious, and I'm excited to try variations of it.
Okay, but at least like, you know, the substitutions you make, because sometimes I watch YouTube videos of like cooking videos, and they'll be like, oh, making whatever, like lasagna soup, for example, right? Or something very specific. It's like that dish. And then there will always be a comment that says like, what can you use instead of the main ingredient in this dish? I'm like, just make something else. I feel like I always see those comments.
Yeah, comment sections make me lose a little bit of hope sometimes in humanity. I'm just like, why? Well, I'm trying to think of there was something recently that really made me laugh, and I can't recall what it was. But man, I mean, sometimes it's borderline funny because you're like, how do you tie your shoes? You know, like, how do you go to work? How do you exist in life like the rest of us? It's always funny too when somebody will post something and then someone has to take the most negative interpretation of said thing, where you're like, okay, well, that's I can't think of an example at this exact moment. I could probably find one though. Now I'm just looking at stuff I sent myself that's cute. Just a dog that when the owner blows kisses to it, it like follows where the direction of where she went. And it's adorable.
I need that video.
What?
I need that video.
Okay, I'll send it to you. Actually, I'll just show it. Ready? Sorry I'll turn the music off. It'll follow the direction. It's so cute. I love it.
It's like, where'd it go?
It's so cute. It's chunky and fluffy. Anyway, so that's the kind of stuff I send myself and then show Sean. Okay, this is not like overly negative or anything. I'm just kind of like, why was that your question? So a little girl, it's very cute. She's like a little toddler, and she at the grocery store likes to apparently like run up and try to give people high fives. And you know, a lot of the people are like, oh, and they're old usually, and they give her little high fives, and everybody's happy, and the little toddler's happy. And the first comment is, how does she end up with straight hair? And I'm just like, why is that your question? Why is that your question? And I'm assuming mom replied, genetics, love, with a heart. I really like that response. Anyway, so I feel like it's I kind of took us off track a little bit, but you were talking about when people ask for completely different ingredients than the main ones in the dish.
Sometimes I feel like these comments have to be rage bait. Like,
yeah. That one's not the worst. There are times where you're like, how was that the first thing? Like, okay, actually, I don't even want to say a bad, mean one because I'm like, I don't want to bring attention to like really mean stuff. But some of them are just, I feel like some of it's so dumb that if you are in control of the account, you just delete it or, you know, you ignore it. As someone newer to cooking, it stressed me out having to do things by eye and feel. Yeah, I'm kind of new too. I'm only just trying I'm trying really hard to get more into it. It helps that I've been waking up much earlier, so then I don't feel as bad when I end my workday in time to start making dinner. Does that make sense? Because I feel like if you start your workday later, because we eat really early, so in my head it's like if I don't wake up super early, then I have to work up until we're about to eat, and then that makes me feel like I have to make something quickly. So waking up earlier, then it's like, okay, I can finish work and then I can try to cook something. But I also feel really bad if it turns out bad, because I'm like, well, that was a big waste of time, big waste of money, and I really don't like wasting food. So, and then I feel bad because Sean usually will still eat stuff, and I'm like, it doesn't taste very good though. He's like, it's okay, and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't taste very good. You don't have to eat it, and he's nice. Sean is a garbage disposal in that his stomach basically never hurts from the food he eats, so he can eat whatever, and he will also eat basically most things. I mean, excluding like disgusting stuff, obviously, but
Yeah, disgusting stuff.
well, you know, when you say you'll eat basically anything, some people's minds go like, really anything? It's like, well, don't try to feed him bugs or something.
Or locusts.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. Also, Sean, you should show everybody, in case anyone is an Expedition 33 fan, the shirt I got you. It's
Really
SQA.
speed.
Yes. Cute little. Neither of you know, but it's a cute shirt. So
Maybe someday.
That's adorable.
add flour to it looks That's what we gotta do sometimes. This recipe did not call for flour. I was like, I'm adding some flour. This needs to thicken. So, because I wanted it thicker. Anywho, were you both wanting one additional 30-minute sprint, or are you both feeling pretty good?
Yeah, 30 minutes is okay.
Okay. What's your secret? My wife is trying to poison me. I'm the one with a sensitive stomach. The
Just
secret
like
is
Mao Mao, you have to start with small portions, build up your tolerance. Or maybe the answer is genetics, love. Maybe that's
the hard one.
yeah.
Okay, let me get the 30-minute sprint ready. It's the piano one. I feel like
Yay.
that's everybody's favorite for background. It's just shorter. So anyway, okay, here we go. See everybody in half an hour.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello. I like seeing your commentary, Christy.
I have some predictions.
Write them out. I want to know.
Oh, that was my prediction.
Oh, okay. I thought you had more.
But I love the name of chapter 17.
Hold
Is
on.
that perv versus freak? Or freak versus perv?
Yeah.
Yeah, I took a picture of that.
So you're pretty. I feel like you're getting through it.
Yeah,
you're almost
I'm
done.
3/4 of the way through, so I should definitely finish either tonight or tomorrow.
I look forward to voice notes from you that are probably.
Oh my God, I'm scared. I'm scared
Why are you scared?
because I don't know what to expect. You've been like, hinting at certain things and seeing Sean's reaction to the end of volume 8. I'm like, I don't know what to expect.
You don't need to be scared.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
It's not anything to be afraid of. It is just distinct, though. I mean, I know in the past you've asked me how will you know because I read ahead what the last thing is that happens, and I was like, it's pretty clear, and Sarah backed me up on that. Now Sean can back up, like it's a pretty clear scene. But
Okay.
I don't think you have to be scared, though. I think most people have a little bit more of a reaction than he did, so I think he's the outlier. I don't know, Sarah, what do you think?
I think that's true. I was trying to remember what my reaction was when I read that. And I don't know what it was, but it was.
Well, your reaction is, I gotta see what happens directly after. Yeah.
Yes.
But you didn't keep going. Sean, you're about to say something?
Oh, I don't know. I think I froze there for a second.
Oh, I don't think so. I think you were about to say something before I asked Sarah her thoughts. I don't remember, though.
I don't remember.
Living up to the not as much reaction as other people reputation.
It's not that it's not. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to spoil anything. But it is a memorable scene.
Yeah. Still, I think overall, this isn't spoilery or anything. I think overall of the 4, if we were to consider each 4 their own big arcs, I actually think of the three ones we've gotten, that personally, in my opinion, I think this is the weakest. I thought the big arc of the first four was kind of clear and more significant and higher stakes. And then the second one actually feels a little bit like connecting tissue, I'll say. Like almost if these were installments, this would be middle book syndrome, kind of. And then I think the next one is the highlight for me. I'll be curious.
This one at least this volume feels very like slice of lifey. There's not really a lot going on. Just this fun thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess I'll save my thoughts for Saturday. But I just want to say I love the third sibling that was introduced.
Of course.
Oh my god.
I knew you would.
And the way they just like slam his head into the desk.
Twice.
It's funny because I feel like both of the siblings are fulfilling things you like about characters. So it's perfect. It just gets better and better. I do like, though, that now Mao Mao understands the consistently furrowed brow, like the line between the brows all the time. She has more context for that.
Yeah. And the comment that he made before about children and their parent, I'm like, oh, my heart.
He's just so wholesome, and then everybody else is so distinct. Just wait, though. There's another character you have not been introduced to. I mean, there's a number of characters that you either get more about or that you get introduced to. And there's a character that I'll be curious to see how everyone feels about them, because they're kind of a lot. But they're so much so that Mao Mao doesn't, she's almost silenced because she has so many thoughts that she can't vocalize any one specific one. And how that's articulated in the volumes is pretty funny. And she often is looking around like, how is there nobody else to contribute to noting how bizarre this person is? But the person is they're a lot. And I kind of think maybe sometimes lean into a little much personally, but I'll be curious to see if everybody agrees with that.
Is it, they're not introduced in this volume, this later?
It's later that
Okay.
you get. Yeah, if they're introduced, it's barely. I don't think they are, though. I can probably look up their name really fast and see if it's mentioned.
And I don't recall exactly, but I think in one of our previous sprints, before we were introduced to these two new characters, do I remember correctly, Sarah, you saying that you do not care for Mama's new companions?
No, that was Sean.
Oh, how
Oh,
dare you?
I
No,
retract that statement.
Yeah, he does.
What?
I have retracted that statement.
Oh, okay.
I didn't like them initially. I was like,
He retracted it informally to me. He is now
Okay.
formally retracting the statement. You didn't miss anything, is what I'm trying to say. But I
love-
think I felt similarly in that because at first you're like, are they kind of bullies? Because you don't know, because there's that group all together at the very initial start of this new direction, this new path, and you're like, oh, some of them seem kind of mean, and you don't really know exactly all the details. But then once we kind of shed some excess, we'll say, and then we narrow it down and you get to know them a little more, you're like, okay, I actually really like them. I really liked, though, I liked the image, and I was glad you liked it too, of the censored grasshopper. Do you think how would you say, I'm going to put it in, I guess you can't say it out loud, but I'll just say none of us are going to know. It'll be interesting to see how all of us pronounce these different characters' names.
Oh, wait, can I say it out loud?
I don't mind if you do. You were not saying characters' names earlier.
Okay, well, I mean, people are not gonna. I say Engen.
Okay, that's probably the most correct. So you say it different than I say it and different than Sean says it. So Sarah, how do you say it?
I just thought it was NN.
That's more of what Sean would say.
How do you say it?
It's not right at all, and I don't even think it makes sense, but I say Anine.
Oh.
Like, I put the apostrophe more after the first E, and then I make the second one a really strong E sound. And I don't know why I did that, but that's just always how I heard it in my head. But it is probably more what you said, Christy.
Enyen.
Enyen? Is that it?
It's like you don't pronounce the N when you say nen. It's like enyen.
Okay. Is it more like an A sound then?
I don't know how to describe.
That's okay.
We'll say like NN. Like
we'll just say it like that. Really basic. Yeah. Okay.
I've given up trying to say the now Empress's name. She's just G now. And there's Papa G and there's Brother G.
Yeah.
Their names are all too close, and I don't even want to try.
The two in particular are so close.
Yeah.
That I also, every now and then I'd be like, what's the difference? Because I would try to sound it out, and I'm like, I'm sounding it out how I say the other one, so this is not helpful.
Well, sometimes like my eyes, like when it sees a capital like name, it just glosses over, and then like my brain automatically fills in the gaps who it is, and I think it's someone else. I'm like, wait, no, that's a different character. And especially with Mao Mao and then Mame, I'm like, it's like the MMs, it's too similar. So there's been multiple times where it's been Mame, and I'm like, I thought it was Mao Mao. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, it didn't help in the first four when you had Surin, Sure, and Sui, right? And you're like, wait, which one's this? And even now, if I go to type in characters to get images for our discussions, if I type in Surin, it does not always bring up the right character. And I'm like, okay, even the internet is confused. So that, I guess, makes me feel a little bit better. But anyway, I'm very excited. I feel like if we linger too long, we're going to end up talking too much. So I'm very excited. If we finish tonight, please send thoughts. Okay. Well, thanks everybody who joined the sprint. And thanks for hanging with us a little extra long this evening. I hope everybody has a nice rest of their night or day. Depends on when you watch this. And we'll see you later. Bye.